Okay. Hey. Well, technically the stream hadn't started. Anyway, it can now count as having started. Let's things off here. I think the microphone is working. Edit mic settings. Give me one moment, gang. I want to make sure the good microphone is turned on, not the bad one. Yeti microphone, blah, 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 blah. Perfect. Okay, so what I am working on today is I am working on we can call it Empire Eldar. The fluff for my Eldar is kind of like the television show Foundation, which if you haven't watched and you like Warhammer, you might want to give a shot because it's very Warhammer. Is my army 30 million years ago froze themselves with the express purpose of checking in on the Eldar periodically, making sure they stayed true to the path of the Eldar of that time. And my thought process is that project lost track. People didn't feel like it. Kind of have this headcanon that the Eldar of the time actually purposely sabotaged it because they thought these guys were the fucking worst. So anyway, these guys, they emerge out of the webway from cryo sleep and everything's fucked up. Bad things are happening to them. They're being chased by these demons that they have no conception of. And then a Black Templar fleet arrives and wipes them out at M35, or so the story goes. My Eldar are what survived to M41, distantly remembering their past and clinging on to life in this harsher, crueler galaxy where Eldar are no longer the dominant race. So, because of that, I'm trying to mix a lot of stuff. You know, the Eldar of 30 million years ago were actually probably pretty crazy and fucked up, maybe. And in ways that we wouldn't even maybe conceptualize, in ways that probably Eldar wouldn't see as fucked up. But essentially, my thought process is by setting them in the past, I can do some fun narrative things. And, you know, it kind of mirrors Gilliman waking up. You know, if they get their Primarchs back, what would be the equivalent of an Eldar Primarch? Well, it would be like Empire Eldar. I'm going to paint the wings, by the way, same color I paint the flesh. Because, I don't know, I feel like that the Eldar of 30 million years ago, giving yourself wings, party trick. You know? So, it's really not a big deal to have wings. That or otherwise. Having a lot of fun, though, with these. If I do build the 11th edition version of this list, I unfortunately need 15 Scourges. Oh, not unfortunately. It's going to be fun. 15 Scourges, 3 Ravagers, just pretty much 3 of everything that's good and shooty. And the list has 25 Dark Lances in it. You might ask, Robbie, why do you want to run a list with 25 Dark Lances in it? Well, I got a reason. I hate playing against Titanics in regular 40K. I hate it. And I'm tired of going to tournaments and losing to that. So I'm going to make a list that skews into beating Titanic. That's all I want to do. If there's a Baneblade on the other table, if there's 3 Baneblades on the other end of the table, I want them all goddamn dead before the end of turn 1. So I'm building a list that does that. I don't care if I lose everything else. If I want to win, I'll take my Custodes. I'm not saying Custodes are broken, just saying I'm good at playing them. I'm good at that play style. Kind of not to be like a weird nerd, but I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well, have for about 20 years. And yeah, just playing Custodes reminds me of how I play Jiu-Jitsu. Straightforward. Be a big guy, lay on top of people. Win. Anyone who hates it and says that only works because you're big, well, I am big. So, yeah, agreed. Okay, having fun with this. Cool. I'm liking this. By the way, if anyone's curious about like getting into assembly line painting, one of the advantages of assembly line painting is your painting career will be filled with a lot of waiting for paint to dry. And if you do assembly style painting, like I'm doing right now, where I do one color at a time and I just kind of go through it, by the time I'm finishing up the last one, and I only ever paint 5 minis at a time. I don't like to paint more than that. I know it could probably be more quote unquote efficient, maybe, to paint more than 5 at a time, but I've never enjoyed it. Anytime I've done like 30 of a model, it's made me never want to paint again. So, whereas if I paint 5, that's just enough and just efficient enough and just as much of an output. It's optimal for the way my brain is. Your mileage, my bad. Yeah, I think the painting portion is actually watchable. Ooh, and comments can appear there. That's pretty cool. I should know this. I'm going to do the guns next, guys. It's too much light, right? I'm going to switch to the pink. Pink's a lot of fun. Put on, if you're curious what I'm using, it's just Dull Pink by Stein Res. I was thinking if you could hear like the brush strokes like I can hear them, this could almost be like ASMR. But I don't think my mic can pick it up. So, essentially, my process with these Eldar that I have a lot of fun with, because I don't know, I have a hard time painting Eldar, I think, is once I get these base coats done, I come back in with a sponge with just off white paint and I sponge everywhere, and then I hit everything with a Reikland Flesh Shade wash. It just makes everything feel alive. And I feel like for Eldar, they would be alive because a lot of Eldar technology, it isn't built, it's grown. They don't make things out of Wraithbone, they shape Wraithbone into things. That's kind of a pedantic distinction, but I think that's like a part of the vibe, I guess. Anyway, I'm just painting these scourges. Nice windy day here. Hope the weather's nice where you are. Nice day to be warm inside and painting. Mhm. Mhm. All right, we have finished the pink. We're gonna move on to the red masks. Uh, I gotta tell you, there's no better feeling than I want to paint. I want to paint. I want to paint. I want to get these guys done. I've got a bunch of models coming in. I don't want to get overwhelmed. And I know that at the end of this stream, maybe they won't be fully painted, but they'll be so close that tomorrow I'll be able to knock them out during my lunch break. You know what I'm saying? It's to me just one of the things I really love about Warhammer is it's one of the rare things in life that you can complete something and say it's done and move on. And you never need to come back to it. Although, according to Reddit, a lot of people feel that way about Warhammer painting. And I get it, but you know, the models are expensive and you want to get the best out of them. But that attitude won't get what you want, so I would avoid it. That makes sense. I bet you I could just move this to the house. And actually, not a lot of them have vipers. It's easy. Yeah, the game plan with this army, just all told, is 3 Ravagers, 15 Scourges. Oh, I got the list right here. I'll read it to you guys. Give me a moment. Drazier, Lilith, 10 Witches, 4 Raiders, 30 Incubi, 3 Ravagers, 15 Scourges with Dark Lances, 1 Talos. Cool, right? I don't know if there's any like upgrades I can buy. But that's the list. I bought a bunch of old school Raiders and Ravagers. Number one, because I'm cheap. Basically, I think I was able to save like $500 on the tanks. And also, I kind of like the old school look. And I'm trying to do like retro. And a common thing to do in Warhammer is to take the 90s models and have them count for the old era, you know, previous versions, iterations. Sorry, excuse the water drinking, but it's very delicious. I'm going to do the bases next, which I do in a bright blue. And once that is done, they will essentially be tabletop ready. I do a lot more. Basing. Trying to record this in such a way, gang, that I can edit a clip show of this and upload it to YouTube with like a narrative through line, kind of like Eon's Battle does. So basically the idea would be is I would use this time to collect B-roll. And so I'm going to try and make sure I show each of the paints with like a good shot of it. We'll see how we do. Let's do this one perfect so that I can use the footage.
Hey, how's it going, Robbie?
Hey, Dusty, what's up?
How's your weekend?
Oh, great. It was Pokemon Go's 10-year anniversary. So Bridget and I caught a ton of Mewtwo.
Nice.
Yep.
Where and how?
There is an event that just concluded. So sorry if anyone's watching and they're like, "Oh wow, a cool event to do." It just ended. But basically, there's 2 mega evolutions of Mewtwo, and it was raid day. So there were like 100 of us at the park and zoo between the 2 days, just raiding and taking on Mewtwo's.
Nice.
It was fun. How was your weekend, bud?
Good. Productive. I worked the whole weekend. I got many things done. I am quite pleased.
All right, well, that's the whole point of life.
What are you painting today?
I am working on my Empire Eldar. So basically, the idea is 30 million years ago, my Eldar said, you know what? We should preserve some Eldar for the future, just in case something goes wrong.
Time capsule Eldar.
So they made some time capsule Eldar. And the fluff that I have is that they're like kind of like proto Dark Eldar. They're on their way to becoming Dark Eldar. Using the Dark Eldar rules. Like, for example, though, here's my Archon. He is the young king.
They're like, hey, but who's going to volunteer to do this to go 30 million years in the future? And like, those guys suck. Let's send them.
Well, and so the project kind of got abandoned and wasn't maintained because it turns out that the Eldar that they sent were the Eldar no one liked. And that's why they sent them. And like, for example, here is a prototype Talos paint engine.
Oh, nice.
And, it's kind of got parts of Craft World, kind of got parts of regular Dark Eldar, all that kind of stuff, but also not so whole hog into the, crazy things. Or like, here's one of my Calibite.
That looks cool.
Little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. So anyway, my Eldar are asleep for 30 million years. The Cicatrix maledictum occurs, the schism across the sky.
Yep.
Cracks open a hole in the webway, which they fall out of, and they awaken. Unfortunate for them, a Black Templar crusade was like exterminating a planet nearby. And so the first beings that they encounter out of stasis were about 3,000 Black Templar Space Marines.
Well, this is awkward.
And they were all but eradicated. No one even noticing in the Black Templar Crusade that they were any different from any of the other Eldar or Xenos that they.
Is there any difference in the Xenos? They're all the same, right?
Well, that's exactly right. And now what remains is the terrified fleeing scavengers escaping into the real space.
Nice.
So they have to scavenge equipment. That's why there's some of their gear is, Drukhari. Some of it is. And also, they don't know why, but they're dying really fast. Because they don't know what Slanesh is.
Inconvenient.
Yep. They just noticed that if they used any psychic powers, bad things happened. So they all learned real quick to not use them.
So what got you on this kick?
My favorite faction, my ideal faction, I might paint a lot of Guard, and Guard has been one of my common armies for a while, or like Space Marines. I really like Eldar the most. It's just I find them the hardest to paint to a level that I find satisfying.
Uh-huh.
And now I think I've reached a level of painter skill where the output is cool and not too challenging.
Nice.
For 4th edition, my list is an Archon plus 9 Incubi with the Master, in a Raider with a Dark Lance and a Night Shield. Then a Witch Squad in a Raider with a Dark Lance and a Night Shield. 2 Raider squads with Calibites with a Dark Lance, a Bright Lance, in a Raider with a Dark Lance and Night Shields. 5 Scourges with the Shard Carbine, so like the 24-inch range light anti-infantry gun. A Raider. No, a Ravager, rather. A Talos. 3 Reavers with 2 blasters, and 3 Hellions with a blaster.
So everybody rides in this one.
Unless they can fly.
And then, yeah, but they're well,
it's an entirely mechanized army, yeah.
Nice.
Which I love. I mean, at Mechanicon for 5th edition, I won Best Eldar General out of like a 200-person event back then.
Nice.
And it was playing Mekdar, which was a classic villain of 5th edition. You run everybody in Wave Serpents, and you run a bunch of Craft Warriors, and you just wreck people because you run 15 Fire Dragons, 3 5-man squads, and Wave Serpents. That is the scariest thing in 5th edition. 4th edition, too. 3rd edition as well. Fire Dragons are so good. And if you were playing 4th edition with modern models, the one downside wouldn't even be there, which is that they're metal. Although, you know what was the nice part about the metal Eldar of that era?
The sound they make when you place them on top of your opponent's neck.
No, the fact that they were sculpted by probably the best miniature sculptor who ever lived.
I mean, that's a bonus too, yeah.
Yeah, like they're just good when sculpts, so it's like you can't complain. In fact, the metal models look better, in my opinion, than the plastics. They're just metal. That's the only reason I don't want them. You know, like just
I always get excited when they do the whole, hey, made to order. Like you can get some of the
metal
OG stuff, and then they're like, but it's metal. I'm thinking, oh,
yeah. Well, at least I will say this: I do know how to make metal models much less of a pain in the ass. You wash them in an ultrasonic cleaner with soap and water, and you thoroughly brush them.
Does that make them stick together better?
Once they're clean, number one, they don't chip if you prime them properly. Once they're clean, and they glue very easily. The problem with gluing is because you're trying to glue mold release agent to mold release agent.
Right.
You know? So I bet you there were tons of people playing with metal model just fine back in the day. I just was a dumb kid who didn't listen to anybody.
It doesn't seem very accessible.
Yeah, I suppose. I don't think everything needs to be so accessible. Maybe you should have to try to get nice things. I've been so frustrated.
That has downward pressure on sales is the problem.
Sure, yeah. I have such frustration with Reddit these days. People treat Reddit now. I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't understand why people find this fun. And if you find it fun, don't even tell me why, because I don't care.
I don't log into Reddit, like literally ever.
Treat it like it's a chat GPT, and everyone here is for your amusement. To create content for you so that you can read what we say on your YouTube page that has 5. I say this with no irony on my YouTube page with 0 viewers.
We have 1 viewer.
We do have 1 viewer. It's probably one of us somehow. Dusty, are you ready to be the camera?
Yep.
All right. I don't want to see the meaty finger stream. Also, what do you think of the background being this?
That looks really good.
Better
the light's
than
nice
white.
too. It's doing the.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the exposure's good too. Yeah.
I think it's because it's not hitting a white thing, emitting white light back up to it infinitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that was the problem, is that it was a white background just reflecting that light,
Yep.
Ugh, it's so nice to get some models painted. All right, Dusty, you are the camera. But do you want to hear my 11th edition list?
I do.
All right, you ready?
This is like the first official list for you for 11th, right?
Well, unless you want to count me taking 27 custodes. I mean, I already owed them though, so it doesn't count, right? This is a new list. Drazier. First of all, I am running the detachment Real Space Raiders until I get the codex and learn what they do.
So this is Drukari, right?
Yeah, but my decisions are being driven purely by models, so I don't really care about the rules. Drazier, coolest Dark Eldar model.
Mm-hmm.
Lilith, 10 witches, 4 raiders, 30 incubi, 3 ravagers with dark lances, 15 scourges with dark lances, and a Talos.
That's a lot of units.
You know what it is?
What?
25 dark lances. Because I hear, oh, have you seen the do you know the tea right now that's going on Reddit? One of the major Warhammer subreddits is collapsing.
Why?
Art of War, the coaching and competitive gaming service, Nick Nadavati said on stream, Guard is an A-tier codex, and a bunch of chat freaked out and said, Guard's the worst codex. We're the worst. You're going to make it so GW doesn't buff us by saying that. And Nick said on the stream, and if you ever met Nick, this is just how he is. He's like, you guys are all wrong. Guard is A-tier. It's one of the best codexes around. It needs a nerf. And for the past week, the Guard subreddit has been analyzing every win posted to the online things, every loss posted, saying it all demonstrates that Guard is a F-tier codex and no one can do anything with it. And a pro player just won a GT, a major GT.
Yeah, I was going to say, what purpose does this argument serve to them?
And now the Warhammer subreddit, the mods are deleting any posts that mention that list because they've decided they've banned Art of War from being discussed on the subreddit.
Why?
For offending the Guard community. I could read to you what they said.
That doesn't count. That doesn't count as being offensive. Like if you say a particular thing in a game is not particularly good, that you cannot choose as a human being. Like you did not make that.
But Dusty, I'm a Guard player. This isn't just a product I purchase. It's my identity.
Okay, well then all of them are equally good, but the data doesn't hold that up.
Oh my God! Also, they took down their opinion on. Wow, they did it. They had a post up that was like, oh my God, they took down their whiny crybaby post. That's so funny.
Their mom probably showed up and told them that they were spending way too much time worrying about this instead of, food, shelter.
Well, like literally people are, the mods are deleting anything that says that Guard could be good. Hold on. Let me see if this guy preserved it. The moderation team is aware of Art of War's recent win at Dreammaker GT with an infantry-based list. Until we get confirmation of correct basis points and gameplay, we will do nothing. They are not trustworthy. Do send us any details and we will, of course, reevaluate.
This is way too much drama over something that could not be any...
It was just a team tournament. It's a bunch of guys moving a goalpost.
It's borne out by the math. Like I'm pretty sure GW is not listening to him specifically. They're just looking at the win rates at tournaments and saying, Guard is winning too much.
No, guy, or somebody posted in all caps. No, guys, but Guard Reddit said they're bad.
Oh my God. This is too much. This is why we can't have nice things.
Well, here's why I think the problem is and why I'm advocating for something. And in the future, this stream will be distributed on VHSs via mail. People will request them, and I'll mail them the VHS of us doing this. I think the internet is awful, and I think we need to pull the plug.
I think the data bears that one out too.
I think we tried it. We gave it a shot. I think nobody can't say we didn't give the internet the old college try, Dusty. But it's like the Atkins diet. You know, it was a fad for a while, but people don't do it no more. We need to walk away from this whole internet thing. It's a complete waste of time.
I mean, I do make my entire living on the internet.
Dusty, you'll make it in a Sears and Roebuck catalog.
At this point, yes, I know I could do that. Correct.
I think the problem is, Dusty, is that the internet creates a survival of the fittest ecosystem. And I know we as humans love the idea that, like, you get a better business if you subject it to survival of the fittest. And it's like, no, that's not true. You get the most profitable business. Not the best product, the most profitable product. And I think that survival of the fittest mechanism, when applied to a social media product, means that there will be a butt for every seat. And one of those seats at all times is 30% of the internet just wants to feel angry.
Yep. I think it's more than 30%.
Well, it only needs to be 30% to make it feel like it's the whole internet.
Based on the amount of hate I get thrown at me on a daily basis. Just for making board games.
Oh. People, I think, in fandom internet culture spaces develop a toxic ownership of the things they choose to obsess over.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that means that eventually they will reach an apex within the community in which they are unsatisfiable. And everything will fall into a familiar trend of, I hate that. 5 years pass, 10 years pass. That is enshrined in lore and is perfect and good, actually. Because I want to tell all of the young people here, when the prequels came out, they were hated. And I will say this, I think the prequels are stupid and bad.
I didn't mind them, but I also understood how people could think they were stupid and bad.
But now that is not a widely held opinion, Dusty.
You know how a lot of people like Madam Web, but it's not because it's like the best thing?
People like the Madam Web movie?
Mm-hmm.
No, they don't.
Because it's hilarious.
Oh, sure. Okay, that's fine. Like, you watched The Room.
So for me, the prequels are like watching, like, I don't know, Underworld. Like, sure. All of them. I love them all. I enjoy the heck out of them. Do I think that they're like the pinnacle of like fine art cinema? I do not. I think they are incredibly fun. Like, people, and so I appreciate the Star Wars prequels for just like I had fun.
I would agree with you if the creation of the Star Wars prequels was free. And what I mean by that is, I bet you if we lived in a world where sequels were illegal, there would be more great movies than there are today.
For sure. I'll do you one better. Sequels and remakes are illegal.
Yeah. You make it once and it's done. Walk away. Because I think that the problem is I think people sometimes want sequels because they want to see the story explored more. I do all the time. But I think the reason why corporations want sequels is because there's a graph full of data with a one or a previous title that they can make decisions based off of. Because I think the C-suite of Hollywood studios are empty-headed homunculi that if you put a script in front of them, they can't read it and tell you it's going to be good or not. They can't know because they are so disconnected from art that they can't even know what a good script is. So they have to base all of their decision making off of previous data. And that's why
to be fair, if I was risking $200 million, I would probably go for the safe route too.
Yeah, but I don't think it's really the safe route because they just made Supergirl and it bombed.
How many $200 million bombs have they? I'm not saying their decision making is good, but I think that would be my inclination.
Well, it's kind of like, do you know the statistical anomaly and logical fallacy it creates?
By the way, people don't like to say this, but Superman didn't bomb, but it also didn't make any money. Like they could have done nothing and had the same amount of money they have.
Same, result. If you are playing football, statistically, you should always go for it on the fourth down. You should never punt. You should just go for it. There's like a few cases where you should punt statistically, but nearly always you should punt or you should just run it. Just go for it. Just give it a shot because the upside is so upside and the downside is a little bit worse than punting.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody punts. Or at least they punt statistically more often than they should punt, right? And because if you go for it and miss, you look stupid. And the news will make fun of you tomorrow morning. But if you go for the safe route, i.e. the worst option statistically, so it is not the safe route, people won't make fun of you, so you can just go for it. So you make the worst decision so people will perceive you as having made the correct decision. And that is why humanity is cooked forever.
I believe this.
Yeah, so it isn't the smart idea to crap out another Star Wars sequel. It is the smart idea to fund new artists trying new things. And we see this constantly with horror.
So you if you look at like the biggest movies like of every year in the 80s and many of the years in the 90s, they were almost all new IPs.
Yep.
And now you look at the biggest movies and they are almost all sequels.
But what was the biggest movie this year? A new IP by a 20-year-old.
Exactly.
I'm just saying, and an Obsession, new IP by a 28-year-old.
And not only that, but from a business perspective, the ROI on those movies was incredible. Yep. Like an equivalent ROI on a Star Wars movie would be about $80 billion.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing. I think George Lucas was smart when he gave Star Wars, when he sold it to Disney. I think he sold him a hand grenade. And he had already pulled the pin on 10 years ago. I think he knew he was hitting bedrock. You get what I'm saying? Narrative bedrock. I'll give you an example. I'm a huge Rick and Morty head. I'm probably the biggest Dan Harmon head on the planet. That also means I can tell when Dan Harmon's not writing it anymore. Or at least he's phoning it in. And
when the original writers of SpongeBob left the show.
Well, he left the show because he died, Dusty.
I understand that. I'm just saying you can tell.
Flag, buddy.
You can tell when it happens. I mean, you know, Robert Jordan could have finished those books, right?
Yeah. So, watching a show like Rick and Morty, it's kind of tedious at this point. And if you want to predict that, just watch earlier episodes of Rick and Morty. there's a great gag where he gets hooked up to Storylord's device, who's going to mine him for all of the narrative plot that he has. And even Rick says, because he says, I'm going to mine your limitless potential. And Rick's like, no property is limitless, like everything has an end, everything has a season, and everything should end. And if you don't, you keep it alive unnaturally.
Also, the zeitgeist just moves on. Like,
yeah, Rick and Morty's just not particularly like transgressive or cutting edge anymore, because everybody's aped and stood on their shoulders for 20 years, right? It can't stay interesting forever, right?
Yeah.
And expecting it to is a sickness, is a disease humans have developed.
It's hope.
They did not make the Odyssey 5. They did not make, I know they did make, what is it called? Henry VIII part 2 or whatever. But like, we're diseased with sequels. You know what I mean? Just repeating ourselves over and over again. It's very tedious at this point for me. But that's why it's great that always new art is coming. If you haven't seen the Backrooms, I really recommend it. It's great. I also watched an adaptation of Stephen King's The Long Walk. Have you ever read The Long Walk, Dusty?
No, did they make a new one too now?
No, they've only ever made one.
Okay. Well, I feel like there was some Stephen King novel that Mark Hamill was just in or something like that. They made a movie of.
Yep, The Long Walk. And it was better than the book. Do you care about spoilers, Dusty?
No, is that a horror? I don't even know what the story is for The Long Walk.
Dystopian. I would call it more like 1984.
Okay. So not one of his horror works, more of a...
It was originally actually a Bachman book.
Oh, interesting.
Written by his Richard Bachman persona.
Yeah, that was his pen name, right?
Yep. And people figured out it was him after like the second book. And if you read it, you're like, yeah, Steven, you got a style, bro. Like you got a vibe to your work. But anyway, spoilers for The Long Walk book and movie. And if you haven't seen it, I'd really recommend it. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really well done. And it was better than the book. Because here's why. The Long Walk is a dystopian future in which America went to some kind of war and we lost it horribly. And we got Weimar Republic, right? So now, to boost morale in the country, there is a voluntary competition where every year 50 men, boys really, they call them men, but 18-year-olds, you have to be 18 to join, sign up for the Long Walk. Some people are older, but it skews young. And they randomly pick those boys, and the 50 of them, they go on a walk. The rules of the walk are they have to walk 3 miles an hour. If they fall below that pace, they will get a warning. If they get to 3 warnings, they will punch their ticket, which means getting shot in the head unceremoniously. Just get shot in the head. A warning will expire after 3 hours, and you'll go back to safe. You cannot stop for any reason. You cannot fall to your knee. You'll get a warning for that, everything like that. And you cannot mess with any of the other participants. Like you can't like push them or trip them or anything like that. You can mess with them in other ways. And at the end of it, the last person walking wins. And so over the course of 3 days, we watch these 50 boys walk as they're slowly picked off one by one. Although there's one like great horrific scene where they're climbing like a steep incline and just like half the boys get shot to death in just like a hail of gunfire. So like 25 boys just get shot to death. And at the end, our 2 heroes are the only ones left. Only one of them can win. One of them tries to heroically sacrifice himself. because he basically explains to the protagonist that the reason why he's done so well is he's been walking his whole life, baby. Like, he grew up hard, had a hard life, orphan as a kid, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. So to him, he could walk another 300 miles. You know what I mean? But he decides, because he likes this guy so much, and this guy has told him that he's going to kill Mark Hamill, the Major, with his wish. He's going to wish for a carbine. They have to hand it to him, and then he's going to shoot the Major in the face, right? Because the Major killed his dad when he was a little boy for reading books, which is illegal in this world.
Mm-hmm.
Well, only certain book, only like the Bible's allowed as the only book. At the end of it, though, the guy who's going to sacrifice himself for the dude who wants to shoot the Major, that dude sacrifices himself so the orphan kid can win all the prize money and have a good life, right? That guy then wishes for a carbine and shoots the Major, killing him, right? That's the ending. He looks out into the distance and he sees smoke and shadows because it's nighttime by the time he's gotten to the end of the long walk. And he decides to just keep on walking because he's lost to it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And this is the ending of the book as well, except for in the book, they never kill the Major. That's not even, nobody even wants to. Nobody in this world, they're so broken, they don't even want to kill this guy. They think this is fine, right? But at the end of the book, the character just continues walking because he's so delirious. That's all he can do. And he sees in the distance the man in black. And the man in black beckons him to keep walking with him. And he kind of fades out of existence, maybe, or maybe he dies walking. We don't know. And the man in black is referred to as the man in black or the walking dude, and he's explicitly supernatural.
Right.
Are you familiar at all with any other Stephen King works?
No.
Well, this is how Stephen King exclusively describes and frequently describes Randall Flagg, a wizard from Midworld, who often appears at the end of novels. And so, essentially, The Long Walk is this gritty dystopian 1984 story that's about Vietnam. He wrote it during Vietnam, where you just, every now and then America goes, you know what, we need to kill a bunch of teenagers for no reason. And then we send them off to some meat grinder. And then when we lose in that meat grinder, like we have lost the past 8 wars or whatever, we quietly pretend we never even actually wanted to go there in the first place. And so that's obviously what the book is about, right? But all that gritty kind of, political satire ends essentially with a wizard showing up. And
okay.
So feelings, Dusty, when I'm watching this movie, this serious, good movie, and the guy looks out into the distance and he sees the big black shadows, I put my hand on my head. I was like, there is no fucking way a fucking wizard's gonna show up at the end of this movie.
And he did.
And no, he did not.
Oh, okay.
I'm so grateful. But I think the director literally put that scene in there for the people who have read the book who are like, no, he's not gonna put the wizard in, is he?
Is this wizard like in the horror books too?
Oh yeah. He kills Pennywise.
Does he have like a story, or is he just sort of there?
Oh, he's the coolest character in the whole Stephen King canon. Randall Flagg. If in my opinion, if you want the coolest Randall Flagg, I would recommend Eyes of the Dragon, a fantasy novel where he just shows up, even though he also shows up in many other novels that aren't fantasy. And that's the coolest part about him. He's Randall Flagg. He can be wherever he wants. He's a wizard, right?
Does he have like a story about why he's showing up in all these places?
The Dark Tower series.
So all the books, all the horror books and everything, they're all combined and tied together by the Dark Tower series.
Yes, the Dark Tower is literally a tower in the center of creation that which all other universes and realities oscillate around.
Interesting. But Dark Tower is not horror, right?
Sometimes it is. It's very spooky.
Okay.
And it's his chance, basically Stephen King's chance, to have his characters show back up and do a little fan service. Like the priest, Father Callahan from Salem's Lot. He's in the Dark Tower series. He just shows up, you know. Pennywise the Clown, he doesn't show up in the Dark Tower series, but his species shows up. The beings that Pennywise is show up. And it goes to show you that if Roland Deschain ever went through Derry, Pennywise would be in a lot of trouble. He'd be hiding. But Roland would find him because he could sense beings like that.
Funny.
If you really want to learn more about Randall Flagg and you just want to read one book, I would recommend Eyes of the Dragon. And it's a short book. He wrote it for his son to read as a teenager. So it's only like 200 pages. And it's a classic. It is, in my opinion, the perfect story of a wronged prince whose kingdom is taken from him. And he unites his old kingdom and goes on a quest for revenge against his father, who was killed by regicide. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You know that classic story. What's the one with Claudius Shakespeare?
I don't know. I know what you're talking about.
Uncle kills his father, marries his mother. That
Othello?
Othello. You're right. It was not that. It was Othello. But if you think you might want to read a lot about Randall Flagg, and I bet you if you read a little bit out of him, his intro story, the first book he's ever in, is The Stand, where he's the primary antagonist. So you get the most juicy Randall Flagg, and you get kind of two different experiences. If you read The Stand first, Randall Flagg will be mysterious and slowly unfurled to you. If you read Eyes of the Dragon first, you'll go, Flagg, what are you doing in 1980s America? What are you doing here?
And isn't The Stand is horror, right?
The Stand is a post-apocalyptic science fiction horror battle between the Judeo-Christian God, like the Abrahamic Yahweh, versus the devil, Lucifer, the Morning Star, Randall Flagg.
So Randall Flagg is not a good guy.
No, he's the bad guy.
Okay, but he's the bad guy in many. This is very interesting. I had no idea that these were all tied together.
Oh, yeah. All of his stories take place in Maine. Like the same awful town of Castle Rock. I actually have a fan theory. I am sure some Stephen King nerd could go, actually, and show me like the 6 reasons why this is impossible. But in the Stephen King universe, in Midworld, people have twinners with people in our world, Earth, right? A twinner is like, you're kind of like, not necessarily physical twin, but like the you of Midworld.
Okay.
And Alan Pangborn is the righteous, goodly sheriff of Castle Rock. And I always have thought his twinner was Roland Deschain, the post-apocalyptic wasteland cowboy of Midworld. Because they're both like beings of pure virtue. You know, like they're unassailable, which in the Stephen King world is kind of fun. You know what I mean? Because it means when he runs into Pennywise and Pennywise tries to do the I impersonate your greatest fears, Roland shoots him in the forehead with a magic bullet and kills him instantly. Because he shoots not by sight, because your vision can be impaired. He shoots by his heart. And he has
I had no idea these were all tied together like this.
Yeah, Dr. Sleep is a sequel to The Shining, where it's about Danny Torrance as a psychic adult fighting a clan of vampires from Salem's Lot. One More for the Road is a fun little short story of a guy breaking down. And it's a fun way to do a short story of a guy breaking down on the road because the next town is Salem's Lot. So if you're a Stephen King book reader, you're like, oh, you're screwed, bro. You broke down at the wrong place. Jerusalem's Lot is a prequel to Salem's Lot, if you read the context clues enough, about a priest in the 1700s settling America and finding the Church of the Worm, a Lovecraftian entity. Cack is a godlike being that exists in both the Regulators novels and the unrelated Desperation. And if you read both novels, they're in versions of each other narratively. And if you put them next to each other, their covers fit next to each other. They bleed into each other.
This is funny.
Yeah. No, the Stephen King's probably my favorite author. I've read almost all of his works. And if you do that, you're like, oh, that's cheap. Sometimes it's like Kurt Vonnegut cheeky, where he just reused the name. It's like, well, this is clearly a different guy. Like, the wizard flag seems to be a different dimensions version of Randall Flagg. Though with Randall Flagg, it could literally be Randall Flagg, because he's powerful like that. He can exist across the strata. Kind of thing. But yeah, if you think the Stephen King universe, to me, is the coolest cinematic universe, if you wanted to treat it like Marvel, because it's all written by one guy, so it's very idiosyncratic, but it also means it's very rewarding, because you'll be like, oh, the guy in the short story, I Am the Gateway, brought tack into this universe. Oh, that's fun. I Am the Gateway is a unrelated short story. That's the origin story of tack.
Nice.
Cool. You know, that kind, or like, that one's not true. I just made that one up for, but you'll read that and like, or like the Tommyknockers. You're like, oh, the Tommyknockers are the same aliens that the I Am the Doorway guy met. Oh, that's cool. That's neat. They're a little bit different in this story. I wonder if it's because those aliens are hundreds of years old. You know, it's very clear Stephen King knows what's going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would recommend it. If you ever wanted a Stephen King reading order, I'd give it to you. You'd start with the classic short stories, because they would be what would make you go, all right, I trust Stephen King enough to take me for a 1,000-page ride. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing about Stephen King. That 1,000-page ride, you'll finish it in 3 days. Because it's so good. He's very consumable. You know, he's not dense.
Right.
He's like potato chips.
Pringles, specifically.
Yeah, sure. Sour cream and onion Pringles. That's right. But yeah, I would recommend starting with his short stories. If you want to just start with one short story, The Jaunt. You can probably find it online.
Jaunt.
Yep, like a jaunt, like a jaunty sailor. It is about the invention of teleportation. I will say no more.
I mean, I can't handle horror. There's like 0 chance I'm going to go down this road.
I love The Jaunt. If
you like, you can spoil away. I don't mind hearing stories, by the way. Like, that's fine. I can't be in it.
Spoilers for The Jaunt. If you think you might want to read a 20-page excellent science fiction story with setup, horror payoff, go for it. But I will spoil it now. I'm just saying this for anyone watching. The Jaunt concerns a family of 3, mother, daughter, mother, or father, daughter, mother, son. So 4, family of 4. And the children are asking about the jaunt because they're going on their first jaunt, which is, we are told, they're teleporting from Earth to Mars. Okay? The whole teleportation will take like 0.0007 seconds, right? But they have to be knocked unconscious to do so. And the son is asking, why do we have to be knocked unconscious for the jaunt? Okay? And the dad explains, well, back in the day, the inventor of the jaunt, you know, he was a Government grants scientists working on energy concerns. They describe a world that is still crippled by dependence on gas, and thus things are just becoming more and more expensive, and it's breaking down society. He invents this wondrous technology. He discovers it when he accidentally moves his thumb, and only his thumb, disconnecting it, and discovers he's invented some form of teleportation. He tries it with rats. Every rat he sends through dies. They come out the other end, walk around for a second, die. So eventually he tries putting the rats unconscious. If he does that, the rats are fine. So they say, all right, we're ready to do human experimentation because the government is chomping at the bit to get this technology up and running. So they put out a statement to death row inmates. Hey, you're pardoned if you can survive this. So they send this murderer, big tough guy, goes through. When he comes out the other end, his hair is shock white. And he stumbles forward and eventually blubbers out, it's forever in there. And then dies of a heart attack. Massive heart attack. Kills him. Okay? So, people speculate, but they eventually learn if you're unconscious for the jaunt, you're fine. Family all gets gassed. When he awakens, he hears screaming, and he looks over, and he sees his son, and his son looks ancient, but hasn't aged at all. Just looks like haggard from stress. And the son looks up at him with like bloodshot eyes, and he says, "It's longer than you think, Dad. It's longer than you think." And then dies of a heart attack.
And that's the whole story?
That's the whole story.
Do we know why that happened?
They speculate that the human mind, the body may transport instantly, but perhaps consciousness spends forever transporting, or maybe the consciousness needs to go the slow way, the speed of light. Whatever it is, the human mind cannot handle it and simply dies if it experiences it.
I have questions about but how time works then.
Well, I mean, let's talk about how does time work in real life. I mean, we know for a fact, I'm sure you know this, Dusty, but viewers might not know this. You know, time is relative. This is what is meant by the theory of
okay. So when they do the jaunt, the time inside the jaunt is relatively different from the time outside the jaunt.
Yeah, it's kind of like, you know, the twin paradox or whatever. Let's say you and me were born on the same day, Dusty, and then they crammed me in a spaceship that was going 90% the speed of light.
Yeah, we'd be different ages.
Yeah, when I come back, you're dead. Everybody's dead. Yeah, because I experienced time differently than you did. Or in Inception, right? Don't they go to a planet and
Interstellar.
Or Interstellar.
Matthew. Yeah, and the one guy's like up for 40 years or something, and they're only on the planet for 6 minutes.
This little maneuver is going to cost us 20 years or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of the idea of it. But that's, to me, a great example of an excellent Stephen King short story. Probably my favorite, though, is Jerusalem's Lot. It is a 1700s journaling account of a guy finding this Church of the Worm that is pre-colonial. And he hears something in the end rumbling through the ground heading towards the church, and he flees knowing not what is stalking him. You know what I mean? Classic Lovecraft shit, right?
Oh, I thought it was Tremors.
Oh, Tremors. God, I love Tremors. You ever seen Tremors recently?
No, but I watched a video that was about talking about in modern movies how they lack set up and payoff, and they're all designed, but then they went through and they're like, you want to see a perfect example of this? And they went through Tremors in detail.
Oh, Tremors is like the golden ratio of setup payoff.
Yeah, when the the fridge makes noise and everybody, you think, that's just, what's the point of that? And then later on you realize it's incredibly important because it makes noise and the tremors find it and that guy died, like just stuff like that.
Or I love that we keep setting up that like Burt Gummer's like a gun nut, and then he's in the basement with Reba McEntire and the graboid bursts through the wall and we get a hysterical shot where they both grab a gun from an unseen wall, mag dump it into the graboid, throw the gun on the ground. Then the camera pulls back to reveal a wall of hundreds of guns. And then they do the same joke. So this is double setup in the sequel, where in the second one, Bert's truck gets lit on fire and all of the characters start running from it. And it's 4 characters running, Bert and 3 other characters, and it's Bert's vehicle. So Bert's the only one who knows how many explosives are in the vehicle. Everyone gets to the first wall and hides behind it as Bert sprints past them, continuing to run as fast as he can, not stopping for any of the cover that's near him. Great joke. But you need to set it up to pay it off. You can't just...
they don't. It seems like a lot of things don't do that anymore.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like, I don't know, to tie back into that whole idea that like Hollywood execs have to go by like previous data because it's all they can do, because they're like soulless fail sons. Is one aspect to that. How do I phrase this? When Tremors came out, it inspired a series of creature movies. When Gremlins came out, it inspired a lot of tiny little cute critter movies. When Star Wars came out, it made a bunch of sci-fi movies. They always learn the wrong lesson.
Yeah.
Iron Man was...
for sure. That one I understand completely.
Because it was a well-made movie with a charming and charismatic lead doing something different.
Yeah, the idea is not that it was a superhero movie. It was just a good movie.
And then they go, they must love superhero movies. And it's like, no, we liked good. It's kind of like, to me, I do not like DC movies. I like James Gunn movies. That's what I like.
Did you like Supergirl and Superman?
Supergirl's not a James Gunn movie. Superman.
No, I guess it's not, is it?
Is, in my opinion. Oh, well, you know what Supergirl is their attempt to do, right? They do not want it to be the James Gunn DC universe. They want it to be the HBO Max DC universe because they don't want James Gunn more. But they just demonstrated that James Gunn is the only good part of the IP. Because to me, the Superman movie, best movie for Superman ever. For Superman.
That's big words.
What other Superman movie you like?
I probably couldn't name one because the one I watched, let's see. I mean, the 80s ones I saw, but those were old enough that I wasn't into them.
No.
And then they did the 2000s one, and I don't remember literally anything about that one.
So my favorite superhero is Superman. And a lot of people clown on that because they're like, Superman's so boring. And I'm like, no, Superman is the apotheosis of a superhero. To me, the more interesting story is not, can the goodie punch the baddie good enough that he dies? The story of Superman should be the fantasy, the power fantasy of what if the strongest being on planet Earth was good.
Mm-hmm.
That's the fantasy. Not that he can punch hard, is that he's the strongest being on the planet and he's a good person. That's what it's supposed to be. And that's what I think he nailed. Because to me, the Christopher Reeve Superman, he's really creepy to women in it, and I can't get past it and don't like watching it.
I don't. I remember the Zack Snyder one, like enjoying it, but I didn't understand enough to understand why it was awful.
Well, and then the Zack Snyder ones, he does not get Superman at all. He just thinks he's the punchiest puncher.
Well, that's it. I do remember lots of punching and not much like depth to Superman.
Right. To me, the best Superman is DCAU Superman, Bruce Timm's Superman. He's the best one because he captures what the comic book Superman. You got to remember, Clark Kent is an excellent reporter for the #1 news team in the world. He's a good reporter and he's quick and snappy and funny. And he's kind of like a bitch a little bit. And it's kind of fun, you know? He's always like dunking on villains in kind of like really dry ways that the modern way that they would write his version of this would be like, could I just shoot red beams out of my eyes? There goes, wow, this is totally different than reality. Anyway, Dusty, you want to show off what you painted tonight?
Whole bunch of black.
Which one is this?
This is the Prime. And it's the Typhon. So I'm working on the Typhon scheme.
Oh, cool. I haven't seen anyone ever paint the Typhon scheme.
It's going to look like, here, let's see if this shows. It's going to look like that.
Badass. That looks cool. I'm excited to see that.
Yeah.
Show off what I did, gang. This is just a work in progress, but I just want to point out, guys, that just with contrast paints, this doesn't really require any skill or ability yet. This is just pushing contrast paint around. This is an hour, guys. If you just want your minis to look like this, and I know a lot of people out there, I know that these aren't like expertly painted, but a lot of people would be thrilled if their minis look just like this. You can do it with speed paints and just following the steps. You know, one by one, take your time too, because it's easier to not have to clean up your mistakes. It's easier to not make the mistake because you went so slow than it is to make the mistake and go back and fix it.
I go slow and make mistakes.
Oh, yeah. All right. See you next week, Dusty.
All right. Sounds good. Yep. I'll see you next week.
See you, buddy.
All righty. Bye.